Hey, welcome back. This is Pamela with Pamela's Tarot Tales. Doing hashtag 31 Days of Tarot. Today is day 19. Actually, backtracking to day 19. You guys, this prompt, which is which tarot decks would you have with you if you were stranded on a desert island? And I think that was the whole question. And why? This question caused me so much anxiety. It's ridiculous. Which is partly why I'm playing catch up. Partly. And I know it doesn't matter, and I know that, I just don't like putting things into the universe saying, this is what I would take, but it is what it is. So I want to play along, and I'm doing the best that I can. But my questions are like, okay, is this desert island the Caribbean? Is it the beach, or are there trees and forests? What are the color schemes? What's the weather? Because that would affect which decks I would bring. Am I stranded by myself? Am I only going to be reading for myself? Am I going to be reading for others? Fending for myself, would I just burn the cards? I'm confused. So these kind of questions, I don't know, they rather upset me in some ways, but I will take it with a light spirit that it's intended and put that forth, and also tell the universe that please don't strand me on a desert island and have me have to have a certain decks with me. So anyway, without further ado, my 5 decks that I chose, the first one, and this one was an easy choice for me. The reason is because I feel like, even though I don't know this deck very well, it's one that is going to be important in my life, important reading for others as well as for myself. And I think it's a forever deck. And of course, we always hope to feel that about every deck that we get, and, the new excitement. But I feel like this particular deck, this is the Emmy Brady, the Brady Tarot. And this particular deck, I would definitely have with me, because I feel like I would not get bored, because there's so much to learn and grow and work with this deck and learn from. And sorry, maybe that's a little better. I don't know. But I am also an animal communicator, and I work with animal messengers and animal totems as well. And so for me, the animals speak volumes. And if I'm stranded on a desert island, I am definitely going to be communicating with animals. I'm going to be reading the signs, reading their messages, asking them for further clarification. And so for me, learning more and more in depth about animal meanings and is really important. And this deck is so well thought out, and it's really beautiful to work with. The cardstock is amazing. I think it would hold up to some abuse, and I could read for probably any situation or scenario and get guidance from it. So I think this would be an amazing deck to continue my growth, so that I wouldn't be stuck, but also and not get bored, because I tend to get bored, and this would be really good for me. So this is definitely a deck I would take. All right, so, and again, that was the Brady Tarot. All right, the second one that I would take would be a Marseille deck of some sorts. Right now, I was really torn between La Corte de Tarocchi and Vivel, and because I love them both. They're just so amazing. But La Corte is not a traditional Marseille, or have traditional elements. It's more of just a pip deck. And so for that reason, I decided, and I'm still really wanting to work with both of these decks. So I decided to work with the Vivel. And I've showed this quite a bit, but while it's quirky and someone may say it's not a traditional because the order the O-rings all screwed up and everything. But I love it. I love the quirkiness. I love the colors. I love, the floral arrangements. I love the patterns. I love this deck just feels like home in a way. So, and I feel like there's still so much for me to learn from with this deck, but there's also a level of comfort that would be helpful in that situation of being deserted on an island, but there's a clarity and a crispness that happens in that. So that is Vivel. Those two were easy choices. Easy choices. The next ones were really difficult. And I actually surprised myself with what I ended up choosing. And mainly, I ended up asking my pendulum because I was like, would I take this one? Would I take a Lenormand? I would really like to take an advantage of the fact that I would be stranded and have dedicated study time and I could learn Lenormand. It would be amazing. But when I asked the pendulum, I got no. And the reason I think that is because, well, if Lenormand is reading some everyday things and helping making decisions, a lot of that's going to be removed from being on a desert island. So, although I would like to study it. So it's a possibility. We're going to say it's a runner-up. The next one is an Oracle deck, and it's Whispers of Lord Ganesha. This deck, I say this about all my decks, but I really need to use it more. But this one I feel like would be really good being stranded on a desert island, because one, the colors are vibrant. Two, it works with the pantheon that I enjoy working with already. And I would definitely be calling in Ganesha for some help, for some energetic help, and helping me remove obstacles to survive, remove obstacles to be open to what is for my highest good, to gather messages. And this deck would remind me of that and be on board with that and be very powerful in a empowering way for me to lend support emotionally, energetically, psychically. I mean, for me, this is what this deck would do. It would help ground some of my spirituality into the survival mode, the understanding of how to survive, and when to check myself. So this deck, Whispers of Lord Ganesha, is definitely one that I think would be beneficial in that circumstance. Okay, the next one is going along that same lines. This one I'm really surprised that I ended up choosing. And the reason I chose this deck, this is an Oracle deck. It's not really even an Oracle deck. It's Gods and Goddesses, and it's got mantras on them. And the reason I chose this deck, I've started working with this deck a little bit more and more for my putting a card on my altar space and working with invoking those energies and understanding them and calling those things forth, and doing some ritual kind of work with, and just sitting in those energies and offering things. And so this deck works with the within the Vedic tradition or the Hindu tradition, and they're really pretty. They're great to put on an altar and then to make offerings to, or to have them oversee, or sit with that energy, or to gain strength from, or to learn lessons from. And so it's not one that I would just use every day. But you better believe, if I am stranded on a desert island and I'm not sure if there's going to be a rescue, or I'm going to put forth to the universe manifestations of what I want or what is for my highest good, or asking for that, you better believe that I'm going to work on strengthening my faith and for me, that is within this arena, these types of figures and deities. And so this would enable me to continue to strengthen my spiritual practice and hopefully ground that into the situation to have a sense of hope, to you know, or maybe it'll be great and I won't want to get rescued and I want to make offerings to say thank you, this is the best thing in my life and I'm so happy for it. Let's either way, this gives me that. And this is Hanuman, which is strength, so, and playfulness and spirit, and so many things, but this is devotion, and this is the one that I'm currently working with. But on the back of them, they do have mantras, they have a meditation, they have blessings. So it would help me also learn these traditions and these gods and the stories a little bit. Maybe not enough. I would love to have a book about it with me, but this would at least give me a place to start and to start imbibing those energies. So and the mantras are not ones that I mean, I'm familiar with some, but some of these I'm just not that familiar with. And so I think it would keep me engaged in a practice. And, if I having trouble lighting a fire and I need to learn light a fire, well, you make an offering to Agni, who is the god of fire. So anyway, this deck surprised me that I would have with me, but I think that it would fill a need or a void and keep me focused. Anyway, so that's that. And the last deck, again, I was really torn on, and I ended up going with the Star Tarot, which also kind of surprised me. I mean, I love this deck, but it's problematic in some ways, this deck, but I find that it's a good reader, and I enjoy looking at the pictures, and it gives me things to contemplate on and look at things differently, and it's loaded with what could be symbolism, and but it's got color, and so this deck would be on my list. And it's got people in it, and I think I would want to see people. I definitely would want to see people, especially if I'm stranded alone on a desert island. Hopefully I won't be, but yeah, I would need something with people. So that's that. So the runner-up would be a Lenormand deck. This is the only Lenormand deck I have, is the Dreaming Way. And again, I know that that's 6, and it's just a runner-up, but if I had the opportunity to learn, to spend that learning more in that system, then I would take a Lenormand deck. All right, so I surprised myself. I made a decision with trauma to my heart and my poor other decks. I'm so sorry, they're all up on the wall. And yeah, so I'm putting that forth, that it may not happen, and that it doesn't hurt my other deck's feelings, and all of that good jazz. But I think that would be a good start, a good selection to work with for a while. And I think it would keep me busy if I'm not rescued quickly. So anyway, there you go. That's my desert island decks I would choose. And I've been catching up with you guys, and I'm really enjoying them. So hopefully you like this. Like and subscribe below. Again, this is Pamela with Pamela's Tarot Tales, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.